Hi, in this module, we are going to see about the transducers and the sensors. In this mechatronics subject, first module, we have seen the first half introduction area. So, what is mechatronics? What are the field where it is application? What is the advantages and disadvantages? And the mechatronic systems, open loop system and closed loop systems. In this system, mechanical system, in the mechatronic system, major important role is the transducers and sensors. Okay, without that, we are unable to get the process, and it is not further it is to be processed. So a transducer, what do you mean by a transducer? Is a device which transforms one form of physical phenomena into another form. So transduce, it's a term which is transferring the form into another form, right? So here another example, another definition also we can say here: a device which converts the variation in physical quantity such as pressure or brightness into electrical signal, right? So that's what we are, what is the function of here transducer here, what is the main intention we are going to use is for measuring some information, measuring something, just like a pressure measurement, for temperature measurements. These are all the things we are want to use a mechatronic system in the sense we need some devices for sensing and to transduce into another form. So here the device which converts the variation of the physical quantities suddenly changes in the pressure, so suddenly changes in the temperature. How we come to know that? It's because of by converting the physical phenomena into another form, so that we can come to the what is the difference in that changes. We come to know how to control it later. So this is what the transducer helps here. So the definition we have seen here, and the example here, the temperature of in degrees celsius it is there. So a transducer, what it will do is it just sense that and it's convert into uh, electronic signal or electrical signal here. So a transducer often employed for in automation system, control systems, and anywhere, that is for the conversion of a physical quantity like energy, force, displacement, temperature, or light sensing, light, anything that is converting into another form, which is called the transduction. So the transducer is a device which is used for the transferring or conversion of the physical quantity into another form, one form to another form. It's a the term we call it as transducer. There are some classification, important classification we are going to see here. It's based on the function active transducer and passive transducer we will call. There are two or three definitions we can say that for the examples. Active transducer or those which develop their own power. Okay, there is no need of extra or external power is required for the change of the conversion of one form to another form. That is what active transducer. So it gives the electrical output without getting any external energy for it. That is the active transducer. So example we can say a piezoelectric pickup and thermocouples, photovoltaic cells. These are all the active type of transducer. And a passive transducer, it needs an external energy for transferring this input to output, that is a conversion of one physical to another. So passive transducer are those who require the external power for the processing of output signal. So this is the basic thing we have to know. One is active transducer, second one is passive transducer. Active transducer need not any external power for the transferring of the input to output signal. Okay, that is a very important thing we are going to see here. So the resistance thermometer, passive transducer means resistance thermometer. We need electrical supply, and for that it is changing the temperature to that, right? Second is based on the signal conversion, analog and digital. Mostly we have heard about analog and digital. So analog in the sense it's of continuous variation, normally pressure gauges if you see, or dial gauges. If you see, the if there is any changes in the input, and if there is any, it will give the continuous changes. Okay, analog is a continuous function of time, we call it as. So analog transducer, those who convert a physical phenomena into analogous output, which is a continuous function of time. And the strain gauges, the thermistors, the LVDT, or the example for analog transducer. Digital transducers, or which converts the physical phenomena into electrical output in terms of pulses. Okay, so that we know, analog watches, digital watches, analog pressure gauge, digital analog temperature detector, analog uh, what is it, thermometer, digital thermometer, or different types of transducer. The temperature is getting, but both are functioning the same. We will get a digital means, it will give exact the pulses, but the analog, it may vary according to the timing function. We cannot get it. That later we will see that one, what is that benefits of digital and analog. And third one, based on the nature of contact, a primary transducer and secondary transducer. What do you mean by primary? So the primary is the first one which senses they are called as detectors. Okay, primary sensing device, secondary sensing device. So primary transducer, secondary transducer, these are all the things which sense the physical phenomena and convert into analogous input. That is a thermocouple. If you say the thermocouple is a device, a bimetallic device, where one end it's a hot junction, another one it can produce cold junction, where it can produce the EMF. When the temperature increases at the hot junction, when it senses the hot junction, it produces EMF in the cold junction. That is, it senses the physical phenomena and convert into analog output. That is a primary transducer. If the secondary transducer means, again, that analog output of the detector, again it is converted into some other way, that is called the secondary transducer. If any output comes from the primary, that is taken as the input of that, and if it changes into another form, which is the secondary transducer. In case of a Borden pressure tube, that dial gauge, it senses, okay, the plunger, it senses the difference, and it gets to the Borden pressure tube, it moves, then it gives the output to the pointer. So like that, it is the secondary transducer is getting input from the primary and then sent to the output, is called a secondary transducer. And the another one is mechanical transducer and electrical transducer, where we will get the bimetallic strip as a mechanical transducer, where this get the there is a change in the mechanical uh, displacement, or it responds with the mechanical displacements. Okay, the bimetallic strip, it get expands when when it observes the temperature. So measuring a quantity is one thing, and the output may be in terms of mechanical displacements. So we call it as a mechanical transducer. Electrical transducer one, which is converting any physical quantity in proportion to the electrical quantity, right? So whether it may be a pressure, or whether it may be a temperature, or whatever it is, it senses, and the physical quantity, it is converted into the equivalent electrical signals. So that is, we call it as electrical transducer. So all these classifications are very important in this. So first one, let me see again, just go through of it. So classification of transducer based on function. One is active and passive, and it's based on signal conversion. Either it may be analog in the form of a function of time, and digital is in the form of pulses. And third one is nature of contact. It's maybe a primary one or a secondary one. Primary is the one which detects physical phenomena, convert to analogous, and secondary, which takes the analogous output and again it converts to another form. It's a secondary transducer. And basic principle is mechanical or electrical. So which gives mechanical output, or which gives electrical output from the base, that is called we will call as the classification of transducer is. So we have seen this. So in the next we will see about the sensors. In the next video we are